The Her Business by Design podcast is for female business owners looking for inspiration and ideas on how they can elevate their leadership and level up their business and profits. We explore all aspects of business ownership with a particular focus on empowering women to be strong leaders by providing them with the knowledge to cultivate a positive and productive business culture. So join us, Elaine Richards and Tamara Lloyd, founders of Business by Design Duo, for inspired chats with our favourite female business owners to uncover their journey, tips and ideas to help you in business. All right, Elaine, welcome. We've got a very special guest today.
Good afternoon, Tamara. Yes, it's a pleasure to be back in our studio, and I am very pleased to finally have the opportunity to catch up with our special guest.
Yes, we've got Kirsten Jones today from She Studio, and I've known Kirsten, I don't know now, for I think 8 years or so thereabouts, and actually I met Kirsten because I went and did personal training with her. My very first venture as an adult into actually doing some fitness, and she was amazing and got me hooked, and was very fussy with the way I did things, and she was great with nutrition, and she just created a really great vibe and culture in her studio with all the women that she had in that studio. Unfortunately for me, she's now moved away to Albury, but she's recently started up a new studio there, and we wanted to get her on board because I think there's a number of things that she can share with our listeners, certainly around fitness and wellness as a busy mum and business owner, as many of us are. And also from a business point of view, she's started a few businesses now, all in the sort of fitness industry. And this business in particular, because we've seen the journey, she's come on board as a client with us as she sets up her business, but it's really grown very quickly in a short time, and she's got quite a following. Her marketing is on point, and she's just such a positive person. And we're very, very excited to welcome you, Kirsten Jones from She Studio.
Oh, what a beautiful intro. Thank you so much, Tam and Elaine. It's wonderful to be here today. And you're so right, I am very fussy when it comes to training.
Yes.
And I make no apologies for that.
No, it's fantastic. It's put me, as someone that was a novice when I started, certainly with weights, I think your body's trained in a better way. So I thank you every time I do weights.
I haven't had the pleasure.
Sorry, Elaine.
No, you're right. Sorry. I haven't had the pleasure of the one-on-one training side, but I certainly have had experience in your nutrition side, and I agree. I think you're a very well-rounded, successful businesswoman, and have great value for our listeners. So let's jump in there, I think, and share some exciting things with our listeners.
Absolutely. Maybe if you could just start by telling us a bit about yourself and your business achievements. Yes. I know you've got a new business now, obviously.
Yeah. So thanks, girls. So it had always been one of my dreams as a young adult in my 20s to have my own business, and I did start a little T-shirt business back in my 20s. That was my first foray into business with a couple of business partners.
What was the T-shirt? Was it?
It was. I was a graphic designer at the time, and I don't know how it came about, but just girly chats, probably over a few wines, and we decided to launch a little T-shirt business, something a little bit alternative. And so we went to a manufacturer. We chose the materials and our designs, had them printed on shirts, and proceeded to walk around the streets of Brunswick, down Fitzroy Street, around South Yarra, down Greville Street, showing little stores, alternative stores, our wares, and we got some in on consignment there. But that was about it, really. That was really to continue. We all invested about $2,000 each. And it was just a little foray, a little dip of the toe into business.
You've got to start somewhere, don't you?
You've got to start somewhere, and you learn a lot just from having a go, don't you? So I'd say it was still, I still saw it, even though I wouldn't say it was far from a success, but we gave it a bit of a crack and we learned some things from it. And, all the years that I continued training as a designer and then working in that field, still always had a desire to get back to my own business again. And I sort of got to a juncture point in my early 40s, around 43, where I felt it was time to give that a go again. I really wanted to remove, the ceiling for myself in what I could achieve, to be able to be my own boss, to drive myself, to be able to use all the talents that I felt I had in my own venture. So I got myself a business coach to help guide the way, and we were investigating different ideas. I didn't want to be in design. I didn't want to work as a freelance designer. Could have done that many times over. It was not something that ever interested me. So we were exploring different ideas. I love homewares, like I know Tamara does, and thought I wouldn't go down that track either. And I was just sharing a bit of my backstory with my business coach and said how it was this fitness program, nutrition program that had actually brought me the health and wellness to feel that I had the energy and confidence. Actually, it really changed my confidence levels too, because I felt so well to be able to begin this journey into business. And she suggested, this left of field idea to me at the time, which shocked me, was perhaps I could have run that business, be that fitness coach, that nutrition coach for people. It really floored me. I'm an open-minded person, but it floored me because the person in our family that was the sporty person was my sister. I was the creative, okay? So we grew up with these labels as children that, one was sporty and one is creative. So I felt I was really stepping into my sister's domain, starting a fitness piece, and had her very quite dubious about what venture I was launching to, because I was the creative. So I was stepping out of my box.
But that's where wonderful things happen, isn't it?
Right? Yes. But I said to my coach, look, I'll go away and think about it. I'll investigate it. So I went and investigated what qualifications I'd need, and I realised that I really had a lot to offer, because for 27 years, like many women, I'd gone round and round in circles trying to solve my weight issues, my lack of consistency with training, and I had solved them. And I really felt that the value that I could add women was teaching them, sharing with them, what I'd done to get myself onto a sustainable, nutrition and training regime that got me ultimately to, somewhere with my health and fitness that I thought could only ever be a dream for me. I never thought it would be a possibility. So, and it was that passion that I brought to that, that business that I started, and still continue to bring it to today, 8 years later, 8.5 years or so. So, yes.
Exciting. It's amazing how you don't, like, if you think about your life, you don't always, if you would imagine where you are now, 20 years ago, you would have not believed it, I would imagine.
No, and that's something, I love sharing with other people, is that you just never know where the journey of life will take you, what opportunities might come up, and yes, it's being open-minded to possibilities.
How long did you sit on that decision, if you don't mind me asking? Weeks, months?
I don't sit on decisions for very long.
A couple of days. No, I'm curious, because I think for our listeners, there would be a lot of women out there that would be in the same position and lacking confidence, but wondering whether that's the right move for them. Or so was it a long time? Probably not, knowing you.
Look, great question. Well, what sealed the deal for me was that when I looked into, I needed my Cert 3 and Cert 4 in personal training, but the business that I started had a mentoring, and it had a system to build my business on. So it had the nutrition qualifications and structure. It had the teaching people how to strength train and do group fitness in a way that I love. And then it had more advanced programs in taking things to a corporate level, so working at businesses, and also then more advanced nutrition and working with athletes. So I really think it was just a real gift that I came into something that had these levels of progression, that taught me a lot, that gave me the business steps as well as the skills to execute programs with clients. So if it was someone else, I would say I've had coaches the whole way through my journey, from the outset to this day, actually, which Tam knows too. I've always had some coach there. And so I'd say investing in a coach will take you further faster.
Yeah. And I think that's what we've seen with your business. We'll get on to that a little bit later. But I guess one of the things that I personally noticed when came and did personal training with you is that you did have a lot of, like, most of your clients were executives. They owned their own business, or they were quite high up in organisations that they worked for, and you seem to click with those women. Obviously, most of them were very busy and time poor. Most had families. What do you think is the main benefit of fitness for these women, and why do you think that they were attracted to what you did?
Yes. So a lot of these women really, they love my model of training, which is training. I really educate them around how doing strength training just twice a week is a game changer for our energy levels, for, sleeping better, for having greater clarity of mind when it comes to, if you're, a CEO or an executive or a manager, or even if you're just doing your job or running your business, that, it's having that clarity of mind for decision making. So I think the education that I put around the training that I do with clients, women hear immediately, they feel a weight come off their shoulders when I say they only need to strength train twice a week to get, a big bang for buck with their training. I
was one of those ones that was quite relieved, by the way.
I'm just thinking, and you've already sold me. If it's only twice a week, I have to do it. I'm there.
Yes. So that's the way that I educate around training, is like we want to set and forget, procedure like brushing our teeth, that we just go and get it done each week. So, of course, brushing your teeth is every day, but for 5 minutes. With strength training, it's so efficient, so effective that we really can just do it twice a week. It's going to do all of those things. It helps us with blood glucose disposal. So particularly as we age, we become a lot more insulin sensitive. So as aging women, strength training helps turn the clock back on aging, helps us better dispose of those sugary things that we eat. So we can better manage our body composition. So that's having more muscle and less fat. And strength training is also incredibly empowering as well. So when women feel strong, when they feel, there's a resilience that comes with it mentally and physically, so when women, have that as their foundation to their day or their week, they're just going to take those feelings of wellness, confidence, empowerment into their business. So that's really the benefits for women in business. And if they can carve out those 2, maybe 3 times a week to do some training, then they're that's the sweet spot for, really leveling up in their business.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there, because I think mentally, since I've been doing weight training, and I'm no guru expert, but I would go twice a week if I get there, maybe 3, but generally twice a week. And it does give you mentally, you do feel a lot stronger. And I've had a hip replacement as well. And so just building strength around that hip and things like that, just mentally I feel quite, I feel like I've achieved something, and it does give you a confidence that you walk around with that I didn't have before I was doing any sort of gym or strength training or anything like that. Definitely it makes a difference to your mind
I think
Yes,
though,
100%.
as you get older, you don't realise the complications that can come. I mean, we've all got elderly parents, and I know personally from my experience, it's hard to watch them slow down. And I think you've touched on quite a few important areas there relating to the benefits of, you know, exercising and in particular strength training that a lot of women wouldn't have even thought of. So
No.
I think you've sold me already, and I feel a bit guilty standing here thinking I don't go to the gym. But when you present it in that way, it makes me think, wow, I should really, you know, make some changes in my life. When twice a week, is it an hour you think that you would need, or?
Yeah, so 45 minutes to an hour. We typically would have a set of 6 or 7 exercises. So you spend most of the time actually resting rather than that's very short amount of time actually lifting. The kind of lifting that I promote is progressive overload. Our bodies adapt best when there's stimulus that is different all the time. So our bodies, if we're just doing the same thing all the time, our body's so clever at adapting. So you'll know it yourself. If you start out walking, the first week where you're going 20 minutes feels quite hard. Then you start having to go 30 minutes or 40 minutes to get that same feeling like you've done a workout. Whereas with strength training, if you're manipulating the rep ranges and the weight, your body doesn't have a chance to get used to it because you're always pushing into a new zone. And so your body has to keep adapting to the stimulus. So that's why it's efficient and effective if we're working in this progressive overload zone. If you're doing the same thing, lifting some light weights in and out every week, that's not going to force your body to change. So it really is the design of the strength training program that is key if you're looking at doing it just 2 or 3 times a week. So that's what's important there. So getting yourself getting yourself a good trainer that understands this is what's absolutely key to your programming success.
And what should women look for when joining a gym or a personal trainer? Just some quick, suggestions there.
Yes. So like I just said, you want to find a trainer that's going to do some form of progressive overload, but you also want to find a trainer that you can relate well to. So you want to feel like they really get you in your life, that you're a busy woman, that you've got a lot, not leaving room for excuses, because if you're there to do the work, you're going to carve out some time, okay? But you want to find someone that really gets that you can just do 2-3 sessions a week, and someone that really will help build you from where you're at when you come into a program through to more advanced types of training. So someone who will assess the way that you move when you come in and then be able to load you appropriately so that you won't get injured, that who will look at your past history of training and injuries, like for instance with Tam with her hip, limitations around those sorts of complications, or with shoulders, with backs. So someone really need to test out that they understand or someone that's even willing to work with your allied health professionals, so your physio, your osteo, to be able to design a program that's going to be right for you. And then someone whose company you do enjoy too, that you feel is going to push you enough.
That's
a
helpful.
good point, though.
Yeah.
It's got to be a nice environment. I think it's quite overwhelming for women to make the decision to step into a gym. So
Particularly if they haven't been for a long time or they've never been. It's quite overwhelming.
And I know that, I mean, I've got younger children that wanted to go to the gym, but, you know, the thought of going to a gym where there's men that are, you know, lifting heavy weights, and it's just a bit it's intimidating and overwhelming. So I think finding the right fit for you is important. But how important is nutrition for busy women? And do you have any simple hacks that we can use to eat better long term?
Yeah. So nutrition is really simple, and it's also really complex because we're complex human beings. So what we bring to nutrition is our emotional selves, So, you know, when it comes to nutrition, it's as simple or as complex as we are. So that's not helpful. But there's not a simple answer when it comes to nutrition. What I like to do is to really understand a woman's situation and her busy timetable, and then start to build in good, nourishing routines. So establishing a routine is one of the most important things of all, I believe. So that typical breakfast, lunch, dinner, and maybe a morning tea, afternoon tea, that sort of a routine. So that is the most powerful thing that any woman can do, and then basing choices for those eating opportunities off of having some protein and some lower energy, carbohydrates, so some fruit or some vegetables that are going to keep you, so the protein will keep you nice and full and satisfied. It's going to deliver all the, flood your body with the nutrients it needs to thrive, and then your vegetables and things are additional vitamins and minerals, and then and also keeping you nice and full and keeping your body nice and full so it feels safe, it feels fed, and you've got all that great fibre, and it's keeping your metabolism nice and high. So in terms of hacks, I always say choose your protein first. Whenever you go to eat, choose a savoury or a sweet source of protein, and then something to complement it. So, and it's easy, and some hacks for that, if you need to, if you're out and about, it's when you sit down at lunch at a cafe, whether it's or breakfast, choosing an egg, breakfast, or a salmon or a protein-based dish. Or if you're flying through the supermarket, there's things like there's the barbecue chicken in the deli, there's cans of tuna if you like tuna. Finding protein or a yogurt that's high in protein, they're the sort of hacks that, just make, eating well on the go easy. Some boiled eggs are great to take. And I get a lot of clients saying how much they love their air fryers at home. So in terms of, cooking, nice piece of chicken or salmon, and some roasting air frying some potatoes in some low carb potatoes or some pumpkin, along with a nice green salad. Cooking doesn't have to be hours and hours in the kitchen with lots and lots of mess and complicated menus. It's really about, just cooking simple foods in ways that you enjoy, or grabbing them on the run, and finding, local cafes that can do things that are going to be lower in calories but provide you with plenty of food to help you feel nourished and full, and so that you're not getting those afternoon. Often we pop out at 2-3 in the afternoon craving that chocolate or that afternoon glass of wine at 5 because we're busy, we've neglected having breakfast and maybe lunch, and then so our body is still craving calories, to drive our energy, and so we can often that's why we unwittingly end up choosing the quick energy sources simply because of not getting those good foods in the morning. So my advice would be try to, if it's a smoothie or some eggs for brekkie, try and get something nourishing in for brekkie and lunch, and they're going to see you heading into the evening. That's where most women tell me they're out of control, is that after work. And
100%. Now, we sort of covered off a fair bit on the health and wellness side of things for busy women, which is great. And I think it's good to, this isn't something we often cover on our podcast, but I think it's so important, and it is something that's often forgotten. So really appreciate you sort of talking through that in a little bit of detail. But we've wanted to also chat to you a little bit about business side of things, if you don't mind. So we've got a few little questions here we want to ask you about your business. One of the things, just how long have you been in business now with this business, She Studio?
She Studio launched in May. So end of April, start of May. Yeah.
So it's only really a few months old, but to watch how it's grown, and people can look you up on social media. We'll give them the links to all that in our show notes, but and also a little bit later. But it's just the following that you have, and I know you've got a lot of clients coming on board. Obviously, they need to be in the Albury area, unfortunately, for the rest of us listening. But what do you put down your success to in building it up so quickly? And I think obviously having the experience in having launched a few other businesses in the past is obviously helpful, but I think that's the whole point really, isn't it? So what are the most successful strategy you've used in terms of getting your business up and running that actually brings in business marketing activity?
I was thinking about this and thinking, I think you have to be passionate about what it is you're doing. Of course, there's businesses that require, I think, are just, turnkey businesses that don't depend on necessarily on the passion of the business owner, but their drive and their model. But for me, I definitely say the backbone of my businesses since I've worked in this space has been my absolute passion to, that's changed my life. And then it's that, that passion I have today that continues to resound, of wanting to help other women in this space as well. So that would be my number one thing. And then I've just continued to evolve along the way. So I started my first fitness business back in 2015, and it was very much, I just got straight into it. So I got my qualifications and I just launched. So I didn't know everything about training back then. There were certainly a lot more qualified PTs out there and amazing PTs out there. What really resonated with the people I started to attract was my story, my transformation story, and I guess, and that belief that, that I sowed in people that they could achieve this for themselves as well. So definitely, having a unique story in this space has certainly helped.
Yeah,
and then, yeah.
I think having obviously the first time people meet you, and obviously people can probably hear on that podcast, you are so passionate, and because you've been through it, people are drawn to you. And I think that's, for anyone else, it doesn't matter what you do. I've been talking to a bookkeeper recently. He's got a fairly new business, and she's so passionate about what she does. And I think it doesn't really matter what industry you're in. If you shouldn't be doing it if you're not somewhat passionate about it. So if you've got your own business, there has to be that passion there, and that I think then brings people to you like a magnet.
And confidence, you're just going to be oozing with confidence because you know what you're doing, and people can see that and embrace it. So
I think you're spot on there with certainly in your business how I've seen you attract people to you and what you do.
And I certainly didn't have that confidence when I started out. I had the belief in my story and that would start to draw the right people to me. And over the last 8.5 years of actual, in the trenches, working with women and listening to them. So it really has been a journey, and people like Tam, so, listening to Tam through her time with me as well. All of that has built and was unleashed through She then. So She Studio is the culmination of the different iterations of my business from 8.5 years ago. So when people say, it takes 10 years to sort of, that's just the start really, the first 10 years, I would say absolutely. Really great. I almost didn't start this studio, start over again. But the speed with which I got it up and happening because of those years of experience really has taught me that to just keep persevering in this space, because running your own business does come with a whole lot of challenges and a lot of problems to solve and a lot of ups and downs, definitely. But I'd say I'm really glad I've persevered through all of that and believed in myself and the product that I have for my clients that to make it through to today. And, when I think about that, that makes me excited for the future as well and what I might be able to do in the future.
Yeah, excellent.
I think you've done an amazing job, and watching you in such a short period of time, and I know that Tam and I have had many conversations on, oh my God, she's hit that goal already. Like, it's a credit to you and well done. But it's been, obviously you've stuck to it, you've been determined, and you've really focused there on your goals to achieve them in a timely manner. I've got a question about staff. When you bring staff into a business, what are you looking for and why is that?
Thanks, Elaine. So in my the last business I started was in Ringwood in Melbourne, and that was the first time I'd hired staff. So I hadn't had any experience. Was completely green in that space, and I really just went with my intuition with the people. So they sought us out as a business. And so they were, I loved that get up and go of people who, we never placed ads for people. They came to us, or I might put the word out amongst friends that I was looking for someone, and really trusted that the right people would come along, and they really did. So people that were genuinely interested. What I was looking for were people that could relate to my clients, who are typically mums aged, in their 30s through to women in their 40s, 50s or early 60s, women who were, in that age bracket themselves, who could relate to other women and genuinely interested in serving them and helping them, who were just, easygoing, caring, and wanting to learn, hungry about learning and growing and developing themselves. And I guess the other thing that went along with that is that, living the healthy lifestyle themselves. So being passionate in this space, training themselves, eating, as busy women too, and it's never about being perfect with nutrition. There's no such thing, but who are, genuinely, trying to, build a healthy lifestyle for themselves and their kids, so they could have conversations with clients to encourage them in that area as well.
So would you say you're really looking, we talk about a cultural fit for a business, so you're looking for a cultural fit for yourself in terms of staff, but also for your clients that would suit your clients. So culturally, they would mesh well together.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Yes. So yes, and it was wonderful that to see women come along that were that mesh, and also create. It's important in a fitness business that they bring that genuine caring and passion, but they also bring a sense of fun too. So can have a laugh with clients and a cry as well. That they can connect. Just people that connect with others. That's important. And then. And then I guess the way that we worked with them was to really bring them on board. So helping them feel, paying them, well, we always paid above the award rate to show our appreciation, and looking at how we could help them continue to develop as people as well, so that they felt that their needs were being met through working in our business, so that they, felt valued, and it was a place that they look forward to coming to every time, and that they could carve out a job that they enjoyed. So really leaving it over to them to, figure that, have conversations together about, what that looks like for them.
Yeah, and that's that leadership piece, I think, of the way you're leading your team is then how they sort of lead your clients as well. Yes. That sort of filters through, doesn't it?
Yeah, obviously people were aware of that. If, you obviously had that culture that people wanted, because if they were approaching you and coming to you and you never had to look for staff, I think that's amazing. And a lot of businesses never achieve that. So it's very important, the culture.
Yeah, 100%. And also just having that good reputation out there, which obviously you do.
I think we've touched on that question with regards to running a small business. What's your best piece of advice when managing a team? You've outlaid there, obviously appreciating them, but what I loved what you said was around where they want to go and progression. So is there any other tips for our listeners around your management style with your team?
So they're the main things, I think, Elaine, and then we just have social gatherings and just that real, bonding together, I think, knowing their family and having a genuine interest in them like we would our clients too, and just that, we never had trouble with our staff because I believe of that, genuine reciprocal relationship. And I know that, I had fairly new trainers coming in that were newly qualified, and something they really valued and appreciated was the extra training that they got, from us with their skills as well, and just encouragement in there to go on and do more certifications, and us, applauding them for that, and taking an interest in them and their family. So I think that,
that's excellent. I think that's it. I think you can also mould someone into your way a little bit. If you're getting someone that's got the qualifications but needs a bit of extra training, it's a little bit more work, but I think it's rewarding, and long term you benefit from that quite often, depending what the role is.
Absolutely.
And what would be your best piece of advice for women that are setting up a business for the first time? Obviously, you've done this a couple of times, and so we've been impressed with how quickly you've got this one up and running. What would be your advice to someone starting something new?
Yeah, I think a lot of people, what I see all the time is people spending too long thinking about their idea and just not executing. So I found, what's worked for me is thoughtfully, quickly making decisions all the time, so that you need to stitch yourself up to some degree. So you need to say, you need to be aware of your risks all the time, and how much you're willing to risk. And I've certainly stepped up. I started with low level risk, and stepped up and up over time, and always had the backing of a coach there to just help me move faster, more quickly, I'd say, than I would have on my own. But I'd say take action, take big action.
Don't procrastinate.
Don't just create spreadsheets and consult hundreds of people and do all your figures, because we'll never look anything like any of that anyway.
Well, can I just say, and this is credit to you and very much along what you've just said, obviously as business coaches we work with a number of different people in different industries, and one of the reasons that we love working with women in business is because we find generally they do take on board things quite well and do take action, but you have to be one of the best people at we'll have a session together, we'll nail out some, action items, and some of them can come from left field, and we'll go, oh, okay, that's, let's do that. And then a week or two later when we catch up, they're done. And you're busy. It's not like you're sitting there twiddling your thumbs. You've got 2 beautiful kids, husband, moved recently to a regional town. So you've got a lot happening, but you are a doer. And I think that is one of the most powerful things in running and setting up a business is be a doer.
Yes, absolutely.
And you are a doer.
And it's quite rewarding as a coach to, we've had both extremes, and it's quite refreshing and rewarding for us as an example to be on the other end of that, because sometimes you can sit there and you can throw out all these ideas, and it's quite deflating when you catch up 2 or 3 weeks later with business owners that have done bugger all. But for you, it was every goal, I'm pretty sure you hit very well, very quickly. So well done.
And just for, any listeners that are listening to that, and there's a lot of joy in, and I guess, I'd have to say, there's a preface to this, creating a healthy lifestyle and routine was the foundation of me being able to do this, and just seeing how those actions, consistent actions taken in the right areas, build you or build whatever you're building. So, I'm like anyone else. I don't want to do things. I resist things. But I have learned that the fastest way out of pain, or the fastest way over an obstacle, is to absolutely face it and just get it done. So, yes. And
great life lesson just there.
Yeah. So, and that's where I think for anyone too, like if you can nail nourishing routines and your training routines, they will form the bedrock of you getting better and better at taking action all the time, as well. I do think that they're so powerful like that, and they will play into other areas of your life too. Whereas these are even folding the washing. I'll have a basket there and I think I'll do it later, and I think, no, just do it now. You bang it out in 2 minutes, get it done. So it's just helped me apply it across my life so I can just be a lot more productive and just, if you just can get a whole lot of things done out another way, it's not playing on your mind. They're done, they're ticked, they're yeah. And I just love that feeling of freedom that comes from getting stuff done.
Getting shit done.
That's it.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Kirsten. It's been such a pleasure to have you on our podcast. Elaine and I have been looking forward to catching up with you, and we're going to continue to watch your business grow. Can you just share with the listeners maybe your Instagram or anything you want to share with them, how they can sort of follow you?
Yeah, so Instagram handle is shestudio.com.au. So nice, easy one to remember, at shestudio.com.au. And the website is still, it's there. There's a landing page. But, feel free to reach out to me, ask questions. I'm happy to help, others in business as well. If there's anything that I can add of value, do reach out. Or give me a follow and a like.
Excellent. Well, once again, thank you very much.
Yes, it's been a pleasure to have you on our show, and we wish you every success.
You deserve it.
Although I don't think you'll need any luck, because you've certainly done extremely well in such a short period of time. So it's been great catching up finally, and yes, I hope your business thrives in Albury.
Yeah. Thanks, Phil. And let me just say thank you to both of you too. I know that, I could have done it on my own, and I think that's one of the things we wrestle with sometimes with thinking about taking on a coach, but I knew I'd go further faster with you guys behind me and helping me execute. And when you're a solo, business owner, there's no one else you can often talk to in detail or, chat about some of your decision making with. So it's great to have someone there that you can have the banter, but also it can get some good solid, don't look there, look over here,
Yeah, absolutely.
You just chop on decisions. So I certainly, your being part of me launching again was just such a big, support to moving ahead quickly.
Thank you for the shout out. We'll pay you later.
Thanks, ladies.
Thank you so much, Kirsten, and we will no doubt talk again very soon.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in, and congratulations on getting to the end. If you loved this episode, why don't you hit the subscribe button, share this podcast with a friend, and leave a review. Reviews and referrals are the best way to help a small business. If you are interested in downloading any of our free business resources, go to businessbydesignduo.com.au and click on the Business Resources tab. We're Elaine and Tamara, and we can't wait to have you back for our next episode. You can connect with us on socials, Business by Design Duo, or go to our website, businessbydesignduo.com.au. Have an amazing day.